in Georgia. I got a listener down. Forrest Gray listens down there in Georgia.
There you go.
Not to remind me to say that you're down there today. And this is Noah's fault, Will. It's not your fault. I'm pissed at him. He was supposed to contact you yesterday about this. It went great yesterday. We used it yesterday. It was awesome. Kick his ass. He's like, no, I didn't. I said, did you get with Will yesterday about this? No, I forgot. Sorry. I'm like, that ain't good enough. I said, we're getting ready to go on the damn air.
We are alive.
We can't hear that, though, Will. All right, welcome Indiana Sports Beat coming to you here on this Thursday from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle sitting in with you as always. Dustin Schutte on. We'll be joined later by Kevin Noon from Buckeye Grove. Also Brendan Sweeney from French Slick Resorts and Golf Course. Dustin, how you doing, man?
Oh, big weekend of Big Ten football. The Big Ten basketball schedule is out. We start basketball next season or next week, not this season. I'm fired up. We got a lot going on.
Yeah, next season starts next week. There you go. Next season starts next week.
I guess that's technically right. Yeah.
That is true. Yeah, the schedule came out yesterday. 20 game conference schedule. Roughly 7-ish game pre-conference schedule. You can't tell for sure because of the Maui Asheville Classic. So there's your games. I've already put the schedule. I've already worked the numbers out, and I went 19-14. I think that gives in. That's in that, and I figured that off of the Big Ten schedule. That I gave Indiana 1 over 500. They went 11-9 in my calculation, and I think I gave them one maybe. So 500 would not be out of the question, but I'm going to go with 11-9. But that, to me, that puts them exactly where the media has projected that they finish. They've projected to finish 8th, pretty far down. It's a rugged conference this year, no doubt, but man, that's way down the line.
You know, that's the interesting thing too, is like 11-9 in the Big Ten. It one game above 500 or 2 games above 500 doesn't seem that great, but this conference is so good top to bottom that it's going to be hard to get wins. If you can finish with a winning record, and obviously this is going to be a unique season, just like the football season. We don't know what the postseason is going to look like and what's going to be, how teams are going to be eligible. But if you are 500, over 500 in the Big Ten this season, you're going to give yourself a great shot to be in the postseason conversation. And I know, again, 11-9 is not where Indiana fans want to be, but in this league, top to bottom, so good, so deep. I think you'd take 11-9.
You'll definitely take it this year because it will get you into the NCAA tournament. If you go 11-9 in the Big Ten, you're going to be in the NCAA tournament. I think they're, like I said, with that, I think their record ends up around 19-14. That's going to get you in the tournament this year. That's a 20. That's 23 wins in a regular season, in a normal season. I mean, so when I went through the numbers, I was a little surprised that it came out on top like it did. I'm like, oh, okay. And because I have no bias when I'm going through. I work each game like I would work it. And I was like, oh, I was a little surprised. I thought it would be closer to 500, to be honest with you, because of the difficulty of the Big Ten schedule and it being the majority of the schedule, 20 games. So it's a little over 2/3. And you're right, we're getting ready to start. It's right around the corner, man. So we've got football in full gear. But the scary thing is, as we watch these numbers continue to climb, Dustin, 14 football games canceled this weekend. 14 of them. That's a lot.
And we had the issue with the SEC last week. Fortunately, the Big Ten has had some games canceled, but they haven't had, knock on wood, haven't had this massive outbreak yet. Anyway, you've seen, Wisconsin had to cancel a couple games back-to-back weeks. Maryland and Ohio State didn't play last week, but that's only been one game each weekend. So you hope that the Big Ten, with their testing protocols and everybody, playing it safe, they're not allowing any fans in the Horseshoe this weekend for the Ohio State Indiana game. They're not even allowing family members because of the spikes and the protocols that are in place for the state of Ohio. So you just hope that the Big Ten got such a late start on this. They can't afford to have a massive outbreak like the SEC had or like other conferences have experienced. So I'm not sure, I think we're still on for Michigan State, Maryland. And that was a game that was in question after Maryland canceled last week. But yeah, you're just kind of crossing your fingers and toes right now, hoping you can get to the end. And so we can get to the college football playoff and obviously that Big Ten Champions Week at the end of the season.
Yeah, as I mentioned, 14 games canceled this weekend. Ole Miss and Texas A&M among them. I don't know if there's anything else higher profile. Last week's Tennessee game was postponed. We saw Ohio State and Maryland last week. I think it's kind of a disadvantage to Indiana because the two teams that just had a week off, Ohio State, so that gave them an extra week to prepare for Indiana. Maryland, I think they're next up on the schedule.
Oh.
So, yeah, but oh well, you got to do what you got to do. But Indiana has really worked diligently to avoid any pratfalls from this and done a good job. But some of these teams have got a week off. Wisconsin, did it actually help them? I don't know because, man, they came back looking just like they left. There was no effect whatsoever. I mean, how do you not miss a beat? That's pretty scary. Indiana's got to go play Wisconsin in a few weeks. To not miss a beat and have more time to prepare, that offense is looking pretty good.
That was a thorough beatdown. And I honestly believed that Michigan had a chance to win that game because, again, this wasn't just the fact that Wisconsin had to miss 2 games. It's the fact that Wisconsin didn't practice. They weren't working out for like 10 days. So you would think fatigue would factor in. They didn't have their starting running back. They didn't have some of their defensive backs and other players that are significant contributors. So to see them have a 2-week absence and to bounce back 49-11, it tells you 2 things. One, Wisconsin is the real deal and they're really, really good. The other thing is that Michigan is on a downward spiral and they are really, really bad. Like Michigan plays Rutgers this weekend. I don't think Michigan's going to win that football game.
Wow. Hot take. Man, does that take a lot of the steam out of Indiana's win over Michigan if they lose to Rutgers?
I don't think so. You've been waiting. Look, Indiana has come so close, whether Michigan has been really, really good, really, really bad. The fact that you just get the monkey off your back, in my opinion, is big enough. It doesn't matter. Look, some of these schools, there's always going to be an excuse, right? It was a trap game. We had a down year, whatever the case might be. So you take that win and you gloat about it. This is something you haven't done in 33 years. You sell that on your recruiting trail. Nobody's going to nobody's going to remember that Indiana beat a really, really bad Michigan team in 2 or 3 years. They're just going to say, hey, we beat them in our place in 2020, and we plan to do it a lot more frequently. So I don't think it takes the wind out of the sails at all. And now it doesn't look maybe as impressive as if we get to the bowl season and Indiana's looking for a New Year's Six bowl, which is very possible, by the way. Maybe that win doesn't look as impressive this year, but I don't think anybody in that locker room cares. They beat Michigan, and for the first time in 3 decades, they got to win.
Man, and the funny thing is, as I'm sitting here, the video is streaming by of about potential candidates for Jim Harbaugh's replacement. And Luke Fickell, of course, the name that keeps popping up from Cincinnati, but isn't he an Ohio State guy?
Yeah, I can't imagine him taking that job. And you know what's weird?
It's perfect for him, and they'd love to have him, but that Ohio State thing.
I don't think he takes that job for that reason. But you know who else is a perfect fit for that job, in my opinion? A guy named Kalen DeBoer. He would bring he would bring offense. I know he doesn't have much experience.
Don't you go there. That would be horrible.
I know he doesn't have much experience as a head coach at the FBS level, but when he was at the NAI level, he won 4 national championships in 6 years or something. He's been a successful offensive coordinator at multiple stops.
He's bad. He's a bad man.
He knows the area. He's going to be able to recruit. I would give him some serious consideration if Michigan does look to move on from Jim Harbaugh. He would be one of my top 5 candidates, I think.
I'm not going to disagree with you because I loved Kalen DeBoer. I love him as what he did, his philosophies, how he's just easy to be around. You can tell players going to love him. It's that same type of thing. It's like, oh wow, good Lord, and experience and proven track record, proven, dude. As a matter of fact, I don't know that he ever had a down year ever. I remember looking through all. I'm like, golly, all he did was win, and he won big, and everywhere.
I believe that the teams he's been a part of, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong here, because this is dating back to last year. I did this research. I think that only one team that he was a part of ended with a losing record. I mean, that counts as a head coach, offensive coordinator, and now I think Fresno State's 3-1 maybe. So he's got the Bulldogs rolling out there. So, I mean, yeah, when you have that proven track record, I know it's a chance for Michigan, but at the same time, you're in year 6 of the Jim Harbaugh era, and this is what you have to show for it. We keep saying it can't get any worse, and yet somehow it does. So I'm gonna, I'll leave that saying on the doorstep. But I would.
Well, the funny thing is, we're having a full blown replacement conversation, and it hasn't even happened. I mean,
if they lose to Rutgers,
it's happening.
I promise you.
Oh, it's happening. There's no doubt it's happening. It's done. To me, this is similar, not as bad, but very similar to Louisville 2 years ago, when Petrino just quit on that team. I mean, it was embarrassingly bad. Horrible. They lost by over 50 points 5 times. You could just tell he quit on his team. And I'm not saying Harbaugh has quit on his team. Not at all. In no way, stretch, or form. I'm wondering if the players are losing interest. They seem like they weren't driven in the last game. And you talk about Rutgers. If you're not on board when you're in that game, and you can lose. You're right. They can, if they're not on board, you can't go in there half cocked. They will lose that game. And that would be unbelievably embarrassing. That would be worse than Michigan losing to App State when they were good. Yeah. When they were good.
Well, know, the thing that I think about is that you look at Michigan and Rutgers, and Michigan, you hit the nail on the head. They don't look like they are enthused. They don't look like they want to be there. After about the first couple plays of that game against Wisconsin, it looked like they just rolled over. And you go back a couple weeks. Now, Rutgers has lost 3 straight as well, but they were in the game against Illinois last week. They were competitive for about a half, maybe 3 quarters. Against Indiana, and they made a run. And then in that fourth quarter against Ohio State, they pulled out the trick plays. They were doing whatever they could, to try to close that gap. So the thing to me that stands out and why I think Rutgers has a really good shot to win that game is Rutgers will fight you for full 60 minutes. They don't care what the scoreboard says. They're going to fight, scratch, claw, do whatever they have to for a full 60 minutes. And I haven't seen that from Michigan for 6 minutes this season. So,
and they think they have a chance. They think they have a chance going into this game.
They don't.
They do have a chance.
They do. Both teams are 1-3. Both teams have lost 3 straight games. And Michigan obviously has an incredible. There's a huge talent gap there, I should say, between Michigan and Rutgers. But my goodness, you see the fight that the Scarlet Knights play with, and I just don't see that from Michigan at all right now.
Coaching can make that up. Tom Allen, example 1A. We got a lot more to talk about. How about Penn State? Are they going to go 0-5? Because that's a game that can go either way. We'll talk about that when we come back. Lots more as well. The Indiana basketball schedule. Tom Allen was on Dan Patrick. Kevin Noon from Buckeye Grove is going to join us later. Also, Brendan Sweeney from French Lick as well. So we got lots to talk about. Stay tuned. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat. We're coming to you here on this Thursday from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this. Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65.
Can you all hear that now?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Will. I was getting ready to tell you.
So I have to be in the call for you all to hear that kind of stuff.
Huh. That's weird. Well, yeah, no, like right now, that's fine. Let's see how you got the logo up.
Yeah.
Boom. That's it. That's what I was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool.
The dogs drive me nuts today.
And Dustin, by the way, this is live on YouTube.
Sweet. Even the breaks?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So I
Yeah.
just suddenly
That's
kicked
the
my dog
one
out of the room.
thing. That's the one thing I was like, dang on, I didn't figure that. Got to figure that part out.
Well,
A lot going on. There's just so much going on. Golly, you got a radio show that we're doing, and off the radio show, you're doing the podcast, and then now we're doing the video portion of it. It's crazy. It's just a lot. Lot for a young Will to balance in there. He's got juggling up in the air.
hey, you know what? They get a behind the scenes in studio look at the Indiana Sports Beat studios and the closet of Dustin Schutte.
Kevin who?
Kevin Noon.
Oh, no. Kevin Noon said he'd try to do him at 10.
Okay.
He's traveling. We're just going to do like a 10:05, brother.
Okay. And the other guy.
We'll just get Brendan at like 9:40.
Okay. That's what I told him. So we'll just come back from this break into the segment.
Yep. Perfecto mundo. Now, will that be able to go back to the 2 boxes once we come back?
Yeah.
How come Dustin's is not the full box? Are you using your phone or something?
I am.
Oh, do you have it upright or sideways?
I have it upright. Let me try it sideways.
There you go.
There it is. Oh.
Always use that's called landscape. Always use landscape for everything, your photos, your videos.
How do I get this to go full screen? Everybody getting a behind the scenes look here. Is this? Oh God. Does this do full screen here? Or I just got to look at all the things I've been searching every day.
Yeah, I got to get the studio completely revamped.
Your studio looks good.
Getting there. We're getting there. All my just basic sports stuff just disappeared over the years. I guess CBS banners and this and that. I used to have all kinds of stuff. Little slugger bats. Man, I had some great bats.
I have great
baseballs.
If we ever get a house, I've got a ton of great Big Ten stuff to hang up for a office/studio. That would look a lot better than a door and a bunch of dress shirts.
You need to do that because everything is going that direction. So you might as well start planning. Do you not have an extra bedroom?
Housing lender.
The college and pro football seasons bring friends together.
My favorite commercial.
Watch all the games every week.
It's a good commercial.
I love it. You got the accordion in there, man. That's how can you not dance to an accordion?
30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Friday, featuring a sandwich, fries, or onion rings, or a 7-inch pizza and a non-alcoholic drink for just $6. Be part of the karaoke fun every Friday and Saturday night. Leroy's Tavern, a West Side tradition for 50 years at 2659 Mount Vernon Avenue.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios on this Thursday. Young Will surprised me with the music there. I don't know who that was. Never even heard that one. I love when I get surprised, though. Dustin Schutte sitting in from Saturday Tradition. Later on, Kevin Noon from Buckeye Grove is going to join us. We'll get the Ohio State perspective. Dustin, the 3 touchdown spread is just I'm not feeling it. From watching Indiana play, from watching their defense, from watching their offense, I know that Ohio State is better on paper. I know that Justin Fields is completing a stupid 87% of his that it's a stupid number. 87%. It's dumb. It's so high, it is stupid. It's like Madden numbers. It's like it's crazy. They're tough. I get it.
Yeah.
I just don't see Indiana being 3 touchdowns worse from what I've seen.
Yeah, I don't think the way I think that Ohio State would cover that spread is maybe a backdoor where Ohio State gets a late touchdown to kind of seal the deal. Maybe they're ahead 2 scores most of the way and they get that late touchdown, or Indiana makes a big mistake in a crucial situation. But yeah, I think the interesting thing to me is, and I wrote about this in a story in my bold predictions, is that it's kind of going to be best on best here. Something's going to have to give. Indiana has 10 interceptions in 4 games. They have 2.5 a game, which is the highest in the nation right now. Obviously, Justin Fields, Ohio State, no interceptions this season. So what's going to give? This is probably going to be the best secondary outside of maybe Wisconsin in Champions Week that Ohio State is going to play this season. So this is going to be a really interesting matchup. I mean, these Indiana defensive backs are playing very well. They're very confident. You heard Tywan Mullen, I believe it was the other day, say, I'll be ready for Chris Olave, and they're not backing down. The one thing that you can say about Indiana is they're not afraid of anybody. They're not intimidated by the fact that they're playing the guys with the silver helmets and the Buckeye stickers. They're not afraid of lining up across from them. So I can understand the spread just because Ohio State has looked almost flawless through the first couple games. And even when they didn't look great, they still were able to cover the spread. So I think that this is going to be a closer game, but I can see a situation or scenario where Ohio State gets a late score and ends up winning by 3 touchdowns or 24 points or something in that regard.
Joker, man, hits us up on the text line. Haven't heard from him for a long time. Must have been off work today. Awesome. You can do so too. 812-269-6367. Anytime. Send a text in. Doesn't matter when you listen. We'll get to it. But Tim, let me get to, actually I was on the wrong one, but Joker says, is there a possibility that we see Penix run the ball some this week as a surprise option we haven't seen yet? No. They want to keep him healthy. So running Michael Penix is not what anybody from Indiana wants to see. He's throwing the ball so well, so quickly, so just effortlessly. That's where they need to stand. Let Samson James and Stevie Scott do the running. My opinion.
Yeah, the only thing is that is the big question, because Indiana's run game has been awful. They're still averaging under 100 yards, and they have to establish something. It has to be some sort of threat. But I don't think Mike.
And it's a great point, because we haven't seen it. And as you point out, the running game hasn't been there. Do they need that as an extra option? But it's risk reward.
Right. I don't know. This may be, it's so tough to say, because this is your chance to get to the Big Ten championship game. But at the same time, and we've talked about this since the beginning of the season, if you lose Michael Penix, you don't have Peyton Ramsey there to back you up. You have Jack Tuttle, who has taken very few snaps in his career. And so, what's the situation if you get a Michael Penix injured, who has a history of being hurt? I don't think it's worth it either, but if there's wide open green grass in front of him, he may get the nod, but Tom Allen will probably say, hey, get your butt down, slide, get out of bounds. Do not take any extra hits, because you have to survive this game. And that those Ohio State guys are hitting hard. Their entire goal coming into this game is to make Michael Penix uncomfortable. So they're going to try to get after him.
Well, they've seen him have so much success. I mean, if you let him throw the ball, he's accurate most of the time. So, and usually for chunk yardage. So they definitely want to get to him, but man, the running game has been not a problem, but it has not been a bonus either. So, and they need that more than any time in this game, then they'll need it all season. The funny thing is, they can actually win this game. Well, if they won this game, they could lose to Wisconsin and still be the Big Ten East champion. That's the funny thing.
Yeah, this is actually a conversation we were having the other day. Wouldn't it be something if Indiana beat Ohio State, lost to Wisconsin, there's a rematch in the Big Ten championship game, and Indiana beats Wisconsin? I mean, are we looking at still a potential college football playoff spot for Indiana?
Could you not? There's no way you could keep them out at that point, having beaten Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Wisconsin, and you keep them out of the college football playoffs? No way. Nobody plays a schedule that tough, and no one will have wins like that. I don't care if you're talking Clemson, Alabama, Notre Dame. Nobody would have that kind of a resume.
Well, I agree with you, but the college football playoff selection committee never agrees with me. So
they don't agree with anybody.
That's where the problem lies. So, it's going to be an interesting conversation. I don't know that it gets to that point. But it's, hey, this is why we love sports, right? The hypotheticals, the ifs, ands, and buts. And it's a fascinating question.
Well, people don't believe Indiana's legit. I mean, some people do, but when you put them as a 3-touchdown underdog and again, this is that those 3 teams, they're in that's a different league almost, but 3 touchdowns is a lot. Is anybody, if anybody else in the top 10 played anybody else played Clemson, played Alabama, played Notre Dame, who in this top 10 would be a 3-touchdown underdog to any of those teams?
That's a good question. I don't know. I
don't see it, and I don't see this one either.
Well,
I don't see this one.
The only exception I would give you is Cincinnati, or is it Cincinnati and BYU? Are they both in the top 10 now? I don't have the rankings in front of me, so they would probably be 3-touchdown favorites to just about anybody in that top 3 or 4. But I think that would maybe be about it.
I disagree on Cincinnati.
You think
Cincinnati scores freaking points, man? They score a lot of points, and they don't give up a lot of points. BYU, I completely agree with you. That's a joke that they're in the top 10. They have like the 4,000 of worst strength of schedule. They play nobody. I don't even think they play a good Indiana high school schedule. They just play no one. And I know they put up some video game numbers, but man, it's easy to do that when you don't play a defense, and they have played no one. I don't think they belong in there. I think they would be a 3-touchdown underdog. Cincinnati, man, I think they're for real.
I think so too. But when you set that line, if you set that line at, let's say, 16 or 17 points, gamblers are going to jump all over Alabama minus 17. So let's keep it at 21. Would you give Cincinnati and 21 points against? I would take Cincinnati and 21 against anybody in the United States in college football. I would not.
Who?
The 3 teams: Alabama, Clemson, a healthy Clemson with Trevor Lawrence, and Ohio State. I mean, Cincinnati was really good last season too, and Penn State blew the doors off of them. I know that was early; it's a different season, but I think Cincinnati could score some points on Ohio State. Don't get me wrong; I think they could score some points, but I think that when you saw best on best, I think that those 3 teams in the top. Now, nobody else. Florida, Texas A&M, Georgia. I think Cincinnati could probably hang with a lot of those teams because a lot of them have one deficiency or the other, offense or defense. But those 3 teams that we just talked about, they're crisp on both sides of the football. So that's why I think that they would have trouble hanging with those 3 teams.
It would be interesting to see, and maybe we'll get to see that. Who knows how the season ends up?
That's true.
Before I forget, because I don't want to get into a segment with somebody else and forget about this. I have a list. I can't remember the other thing. Dustin, the other day I saw he said that Assembly Hall was overrated. What was the other thing?
Oh, you're falling into the trap, the Northwestern trap.
Oh, I cannot wait to talk about
the Northwestern trap.
Yeah, whatever. Assembly Hall is horrible from a fan's perspective if your seats are located above the Mendoza line. If you're over the 38th parallel, it sucks. Its design sucks from a viewing standpoint, but it is so loud. It is the loudest place, and because of that, I think that they'd have done themselves great favors without the balconies, making the end zones better. It's what they should have done. But actually what they should have done is instead of renovating this thing for $40 million, built a new damn stadium, which they could have done. They should have done to go in for the future. I mean, yeah, it's iconic and all that, but it sucks from a viewing standpoint. It sucks to watch games from there. It does. So I'm agreeing with you on that standpoint, but it's the loudest venue.
Yes.
It's toughest to play in. So it's a double-edged sword.
It is. And I think that's where people were agreeing and disagreeing with me, because there was no knock against how loud it gets, how ravenous the fan base is, how loud they can be, how passionate it is, and what an iconic venue it is. I'm talking strictly, I walk into Assembly Hall and I this is it. This is the rage, because it's just, I've sat in multiple different spots of that arena, and it's just, I wasn't impressed with the sight line. And by the way, I did have multiple people text me after I made that claim on Twitter, and they agreed with me. And they said the same thing. It's a loud place. It's a fun place to watch a basketball game, but in terms of actually viewing it, sometimes you don't get the best seat in the house. Well, a lot of times you don't get the best seat in the house. So it is a double-edged sword. But I mean, it is still a bucket list arena. Don't get me wrong. You have to visit.
And don't worry, it's not going anywhere, so it'll
No.
be there for you to come see. What was the other thing? The Peyton Ramsey thing. All right, Northwestern is okay. They're better than average.
Oh.
And they're consistent, but they're consistently better than average. And that's what there's no greatness, and they do not have the ability, and that's why Indiana is doing what they're doing this year that they could not do last year, because Michael Penix gives them that bit of greatness, gives them the ability to throw a 15-yard out in half the time, which prevents the defender from being able to close on it, it just changes everything. And that is the difference. He's a great quarterback. He's one that I would take if I didn't have a Michael Penix. Love to have him. But I think those differences over the course of the game just continue to wear itself out. And that's why I think that they're 2 touchdowns less than Indiana. I think they're 2 touchdowns less than Wisconsin. That is why. It's not that they're not good. It's just Wisconsin, Indiana, just too good on both sides of the ball, and they're too efficient. It takes Northwestern way too long to get to the end zone.
Well, it's not that I disagree with your premise of they're consistent and they're better than average. You can't count that team out of any football game, because any given day, their defense is always playing sound. If they make plays, the one thing that has hurt them, and they're still 4-0, is that once or twice a game, Peyton Ramsey does something where you're like, what was he thinking? There was a play against Purdue last weekend where he just kind of like got rid of the football, fumbled, like he was in a pile, just dropped the football, and I think Northwestern did recover it, but he makes one or two of those. You saw it against Nebraska. He gave up nearly a pick 6. He makes a few of those plays, but like I said, Northwestern's never a team, in my opinion, that's going to probably finish the season 12-0. But man, you cannot count them out of any game. Pat Fitzgerald has that magic wand in Evanston. He waves around when his team's the underdog or when they're not ranked. That's when they seem to be playing their best.
Well, you're going to get your opportunity for Indiana to play them.
Yeah, I think so too.
Iowa killed themselves with those 2 losses. There's not time to catch up. Northwestern, they still haven't lost, have they?
No, they're 4-0, and Wisconsin's 2-0, and they played this weekend. So Big Ten West.
Yeah, Northwestern goes down this weekend to Wisconsin. Now, and then you're going to have Iowa. I don't see them beating Iowa. I think Iowa's better than Northwestern is.
Well, Northwestern already beat Iowa. That was a week 2 game.
Okay, that was early on. It was early on.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, early on. So, yeah.
I think Iowa's gotten better, though. I think Iowa made a jump. I mean, they really, boom, they went from 1 week and they jumped. When they beat, was it Michigan State 49-6 or whatever? That's a jump, man. When you can put that kind of points on the board and hold them to basically scoreless, that was a move. I was like, ooh, okay. So they've improved. I think they've jumped over Northwestern in that regard, but I think that Northwestern will end up being the second place team because they have that head-to-head win over them, and they both end up with 2 losses, and I think that's who ends up playing Indiana.
And that's going to be so fun to see Peyton Ramsey go up against his former team. But yeah, it's interesting because Iowa, they're one of the more interesting teams in the Big Ten, because I think you're seeing now, after 2 games, after 2 straight wins, why Kirk Ferentz loves to play those FCS and MAC schools early in the season, because they're such a fundamental team, a team that talks about taking care of the football, not having penalties. And what killed them in those first 2 games was not taking care of the football and penalties. And now that they're actually clicking, they've got a few games under their belt. They're going to be a tough team to beat. They could very easily win out and finish the regular season 6-2.
Hey, we got to take a break and jump off here. Let's see. I think Brendan Sweeney is going to join us next, but I want to talk more about that because, man, Indiana and Peyton Ramsey are going to play. I am very confident about that now. But, hey, we got to take a break. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat. We're coming to you from hole number 6 here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Thursday. The sun's shining outside. It's a nice day. We'll be back with more right after this. From Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba 33 in Clarksville.
Can you hear my dog whining?
I didn't know. I never heard it.
No, okay. He's got a bad case of separation anxiety today or something. I don't know what's going on. He's never like this. I'm in here every Thursday, never like this. For some reason today.
Brandon goes into the closet every Thursday.
Get the link to Brandon.
Pardon me?
I sent the link to Brendan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me text him real quick. Thank you. Where's his name? Yeah, I mean, how 2020 is it wouldn't be 2020 without Indiana Northwestern playing. The end of the season, the last game of this season will be between. Well, I mean, but
can you
barring the bowl
imagine?
game.
Let me tell you, the most 2020 thing would be if they played for the Big Ten championship.
Well, that ain't happening.
Well, I agree with you, but it would be 2020, very 2020.
It would be the 2020. That would be the absolute most bizarro world thing ever. For that. But yeah, they're gonna lose 2 games. No, they're just gonna lose 1 game. Hey, brother. Hey,
Hey, what's going on?
we're just hanging out, having fun. Dustin Schutte from Saturday Traditions with us as well. Just talking football, basketball, and
We got the logo here. Here we go.
oh,
Logo
there
time.
it is.
Logo time.
Hey, you see that?
What
You
is it?
can't read it, but that's Donald Ross there.
I'll get you a pin flag.
That's exactly what I was. I'm like,
That's
man,
exactly
I need a
what
freaking flag.
Text me your
That would be-
text me your address. I'll try to get some shit in the
Yeah.
mail for you.
We're redoing the studio, hanging some stuff up here.
Live from the Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat proudly presents the Jim Coyle
There you
Show.
go.
Dude, I'm all over
There
it,
you
man.
go. He's the pro.
Yeah.
Dustin Brendan is head of
What's up?
golfing, all kinds of things at French Lick.
Oh,
been down
how's it
to-
going?
Good, man. What's
Dustin
happening?
lives down in Georgia.
What part of Georgia you in?
Kennesaw, which is
Oh, yeah. A buddy of mine does the radio broadcast for Kennesaw State football.
no kidding.
Yeah, Brian Katrick.
Okay, yeah. Does he do Georgia Tech too?
I think he just does Georgia
does Kennesaw-
Southern. Or not
Oh.
Georgia Southern, Kennesaw State.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just north of the city, right? Right off the highway.
Yep, just about 45 minutes northwest. Half an hour
A
northwest.
suburb
depending on
of
traffic.
a suburb of Campbellsville, Georgia. No, is it Campbellsville or Cartersville?
Cartersville.
Cartersville.
Mm-hmm.
Cartersville. Well, cool. So you're a producer?
No, I work at Saturday Tradition, managing editor. So we do all Big Ten football.
Oh, cool.
He's a writer.
A writer.
Writer.
I'm a writer.
He's a
damn
media
it.
dude. He's a media dude.
What are we talking about? How much time do I have?
Well, we got like 20 minutes.
Oh, fuck.
A little less than 20, but
Seconds left in break.
there's all kind of games. Anything going on with
Watch all the games every week with the NFL.
hotel, gambling, Bet Rivers?
Yeah, let's do some.
Tuesday.
Go with the flow, baby. We'll talk a little bit about the draft. We'll talk about.
I'll tell you what we've been talking about. We were talking about that 3-touchdown freaking spread between Indiana and Ohio State.
Drink for just $6. Be part of the karaoke fun every Friday and Saturday night. Leroy's Tavern, a West Side tradition for 50 years at 2659 on
Who's doing that voiceover?
Our Reynolds Family
That's
Dentistry
a commercial.
You need $1 million
That's
smile.
an Evansville radio guy.
Exactly what you'll get.
Awesome.
Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Dan Agursky. That's my favorite commercial. You got the accordion in it. That's awesome.
Little rush coming in.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat coming to you here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Thursday. Dustin Schutte sitting in with us as always, and Brendan Sweeney from French Lick joining in now. Brendan, how you doing, brother?
Hey, good morning. Live from the outdoor studios of the French Lick Southern Branch in Orlando, Florida, baby. It's 71 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, but it's looking pretty damn good out here today. Come on
Yeah, a little
down.
warmer.
The rest of the Midwest will be here in no time at all.
A little warmer. Well, according to something I saw the other day, West Virginia is a part of the Midwest. Was nuts. But yeah, so I wish it was 71 here. It's not too bad here. The sun's out today, so it won't be too bad. But it's not perfect golfing weather. But whatever. But man, oh man, what's going on down at French Lick right now?
Well, I tell you what, the golf season's still going strong. I mean, we still have the Donald Ross Golf Course, which was the host site of the 1924 PGA Championship. We've held 3 majors there. And we have reduced rates. So we're down to $75 a guy. Head on down.
Wow.
And then come watch some football at the casino. And the town
That's
is
like half
jumping.
price, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, not Jim Coyle prices yet, but we're getting there.
That's like that.
Yeah, but the great thing is that French Lick is we're geared up for the holiday season, and if anybody's been down there before in the holidays, I got to tell you, there's a couple of disclaimers there. In order to go into West Baden, you have to be that's our flagship property. You have to be a stay-in resident at an overnight guest to go into the property to see the tree. But in the town and at the outside of the French Lick Resort, we have this huge Christmas light show that goes on every evening, starting to Saturday. So come on down the Wilson Ranch, which is about 5 miles north, up on 56 between Paoli and French Lick. They have a big drive-through tree lighting ceremony that goes on every evening. So just throw the kids in the car, come on down, and enjoy some of the holiday spirit. All the shops in town are open, the restaurants are open, and the outdoor light show is going on. So that's what's going on now in French Lick. But
is that Will Stem? Is that what you're talking about? Will Stem?
Yeah,
that's a cool place. I've never been there, but it's got. Don't they have some exotic animals and things like that there?
Yeah, it's the Tiger King guy. I think he had a sellout sale, and Jerry bought some of the gear. So yeah, it's been pretty successful. And Jerry Foose is a great guy. That's who we bought the property off of to build the Pete Dye golf course. So he took that and reinvested it in the community. So yeah, it's a great thing for Orange County. We're practicing very, very safe practices with temperature checks and masking up, and we're trying to keep everybody safe for the holiday season.
That's all you can do, man. But that sounds like fun. And what a beautiful place. I mean, talk about French Lick and Christmas. That just sounds wonderful. It's isn't it the second highest point in Indiana?
Yes, it is. The other one's in a coal mine over in Richmond, I believe, off I-70.
I always wondered where the first was. I never did ask. I assumed down in Floyd Knobs, it's pretty high down there, but I didn't know. Wow.
Well, there's a lot of high people down in Floyd Knobs. That's what I did here. So it's good. No offense, Fuzzy Zeller. I'm just throwing a name out there. So
hey, Fuzzy's good. Tommy lives right around the corner, as a matter of fact. So, but hey, a lot of good games this weekend. A lot have been canceled. But how about this 21 point, or it's 20 points, but 3 touchdown spread, Indiana and Ohio State, man. That's just having a little trouble getting to that one.
Well, you look at the Buckeyes, and hey, just one thing I got to say before we start getting into the old talking some spreads and whatnot. If you do have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. So that's my disclaimer. Just for the Indiana people that are listening.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, 20.5 on the old line. I think the one that's attracted me though is the over/under right now. I think it's at 66. So if you're looking at a 20-point spread, if the Hoosiers get on a roll, they throw up 21 on the board, I guarantee, if Ohio State does cover, that's going to go over that 66. So, yeah, that could be the attractive thing there. And then you may want to take a look at a couple prop bets over at betrivers.com. First half, second half, first quarter, first score, whatever it may be. But, you can get creative on that. So if you guys want to download the Bet Rivers app, just go to your phone. It's geo-fenced, whether if you're in Ohio or if you're in Indiana or Illinois. So if you're in any one of those states, just go down there, download it. And, you can go anywhere to place a bet, but why not try to keep it in the family? Keep the tax dollars rolling in Indiana, because God knows
keep it in Indiana. Right now. Keep it in Indiana. Here's my 14 Bet Rivers parlay. I took Liberty plus 3.5 at North Carolina State.
Sounds like
how about Liberty?
They are on a roll. They've already beaten two ACC teams, I think, right?
It's nuts. I mean, it's nuts that you talk about 2020. All right, we've been talking about this too, Brendan. I took Wisconsin minus 8.5 at Northwestern. I just think they're 2 touchdowns better. That's where Dustin thinks I'm going wrong right there. I had him at 6.5, and they screwed me on it, so I got screwed out of 2 points there. So I'm a little disappointed about that.
Well, the over on that's 44. So what are you looking at that? I'd definitely go with the over. And the weather in Evanston, you're talking over there, but what
Wisconsin
does the 12th
scores a lot of points?
Well, what does the 12th man actually take away from not being in the Northwestern Stadium? I mean, it's a loud crowd, but they're not going to be there. So the crucifixion could be on for the Badgers to hammer some Wildcat down.
Let me just tell you. Hold on. I'm going to say that I would never feel comfortable betting the over with Northwestern ever. Their defense is always so good, and their offense is okay. And it's a lot better than it was last year. But
you have to depend on Wisconsin. Yeah,
that's true.
You could always take the under. That's at 44 as well.
Iowa at Penn State. Okay, Iowa is minus 2.5 points. Penn State is just, man, they're reeling. Iowa's kind of peaking. I just don't see them not covering that game by a field goal.
Do you think that IU beating Penn State last play of the game not only changed the direction of the IU Hoosiers, but broke the back of the Nittany Lions?
They did not expect to lose that game, I promise you. And that's a hard way to start a season. And then when it happens a second time like it did, losing is tough, man, and it's carried over. They're 0-4 now, and I think that is just – it's there. That I think that their season is set. It's like Michigan is kind of set, but Iowa's trending up. So, I just don't see them not covering by a field goal. Anybody? Justin?
Well, I would say that when you look at Penn State and the goals that they had to win the Big Ten and go to the college football playoff, I mean, those were shattered in week 1. So at one point, you get Ohio State week 2. You're not nearly as good as they are. So after you lose that second game, you're out of everything that you thought you were going to be competing for just in the first 2 weeks. Now, they did play harder last week in the second half once they made a quarterback change. But I really like Iowa in this game just because of the Hawkeyes are trending up, and I've seen nothing to suggest that Penn State's going to get it together at any point this season.
I should have taken them the straight money line now that I look back at it, but oh well. And the fourth team I took is the Michigan State at Maryland. I took Maryland minus 6.5. I mean, daggone, Tagovailoa is looking like Tua Tagovailoa right now. It's crazy. It's wow, he's looking good.
I tell you what, it's getting pretty shallow, and we have to start betting on Maryland for anything. So. rock and roll. I just
like the game. I like the spread. I just like the game. I mean, you can actually get it for 5.5 now. That's nuts. But I've never been a big bettor, but it's kind of fun just playing with them these games. But a parlay. The thing about a parlay, you don't have to bet as much, and you can win a ton if it hits. But it's hard to hit those 3 and 14 parlays. It's hard to get all 3 or 4 of them to hit. But when it does, like this one, this was like worth 2,400.
Well, we don't turn our lights on for nothing, my man. So,
that's right.
Bet away there, Mr. Coyle. Bet away. We appreciate that.
You got to get it done. All right.
Hey, how's that? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you please do.
You know, I'm not a big NBA fan at all, but I am a Big Ten fan, and I think one of the craziest things that came out of last night's draft, and maybe you could take a look at this. I may be wrong. Not one player from the state of Indiana colleges was from Indiana, and I think only one player from the Big Ten was drafted in the first round, and I think 4 in the first 2 rounds. What do you guys think of that?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because normally the guys that stayed would have been gone. Luka Garza in a normal year would have been gone. DeSomo from Illinois would have been gone. There would have been so many guys that came back that never would have come back in a normal year. COVID changed all of that. But because of that, we're going to have one hell of a Big Ten basketball season because all these guys are back, and you've got maybe 9 teams in the Big Ten that are formidable, and it is going to be a bloodbath because of that.
And don't you think that this is going to for next year? Don't you think that I would think that the draft is going to be very, I guess Big Ten heavy. I mean, you're always going to have the one and done guys. But I would expect
you're going to have a lot of guys.
You're going to see a lot of Big Ten guys go, maybe not first round, but there'll be a lot of guys in the first 2 rounds next season.
There's going to be a lot of guys in the first round. Trace Jackson Davis, he won't be coming back. I mean, he'll be gone from Indiana, and you've got all those other big guys. It'll be the opposite next year, Brendan. It'll be the total opposite. It'll be very Big Ten heavy because all these guys that stayed this year. But you're right. It's very unusual. I think I saw Rick Bozich posted that. What was it, the first round or something, that we didn't see somebody from Kentucky and Michigan State, Kansas, and Duke. Go ahead, you got it.
I think there were two guys from Florida State went the first round, And I think the first guy from Kentucky went in the second round. And I just glanced at it this morning, so take that with a grain of salt. So,
but yeah, just a crazy. It's 2020. It's just 2020 is affecting everything, right down to the NBA draft. But yeah, it's going to be a great season though because of that.
Do you think that 2020 is going to affect the dollar amount for the 21 draftees? Is that going to affect, hey, so and so is going to make 25
million? That's a great question.
No, but
that's a great question.
We don't have any fans. We don't have any. So you're totally relying on the dollars from the internet and dollars from the TV broadcast.
It might not affect the first round draft picks, but it might affect the guys that are getting second, third round picks. Or there's only 2 rounds now in there. But yeah, that's a good question though.
It is a good question. What does it go back to the collective bargaining agreement? I mean, I don't know what's set in stone.
Yeah, it would have to, and that's what they would rely on. That's what that's what they would rely on. So, what else we got coming up next to French Lick, my man?
I'm sorry.
What else we got coming up next? When will the Pete Dye course reopen? I know they doing some stuff down there over the winter.
Yeah, we've got some maintenance going on. Dig a couple new holes here and there, but we're looking at probably the first week of April. But as weather permits, it's normally around April 15th for the Dye. But the Ross course will be open. The Valley course is open. And there's other great tracks on the way down. If you look at the new course at IU that they just redid, the Sultan's Run, then the Chariots Run down towards Louisville. That's the other casino course down there. There's some really cool golf courses down in Southern Indiana.
Oh, you could really make a great circuit. I mean, man, and not have to go anywhere.
No, not at all. Which is the beauty about it all. I mean, within 45 minutes, or an hour, I'd say, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of the top, 5 of the top golf courses in the state of Indiana. 2 of them being a French Lick. So. There you go.
It's nuts. And you got that. And you mentioned the IU course. The IU course is the top 4 in the college courses in the country now. There are some incredible golf courses in the state of Indiana. It's mind-boggling. Victoria National, I mean, Crooked Stick. We're talking elite golf courses.
How about over up at Purdue? There's 2 Pete Dye courses up there.
Yeah, we don't know about
work
that.
your way down. I know. West Lafayette, so it's good.
It is amazing.
Couple great bars up there.
Aren't both of those courses elite level up there?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
I left a lot of my golf balls on those 2 courses when I lived up in Indiana, lived up in Lafayette. So it's a tough. Those are tough courses.
Oh, it's great. It's great. And they're relatively inexpensive. Then you can work your way over to Brickyard and the Fort and Purgatory and all the other great courses that surround Indianapolis as well. So, come on down. We'd love to have you. Book your Christmas. You want to get your sweetheart a little something. Go to the French Lick website, get a gift card, surprise them. I mean, we're really killing it with the buddy trips. And the other thing, unexpected, great thing that happened in this crazy year of 2020. We've been getting just a ton of buddy trips, like guys who would normally jump on a plane and go to North Carolina or go to Vegas, or even guys going over to Europe. I've been dealing with the Irish Tourism Council, and right now Europe's pretty much closed down until at least April. So the guys are from different clubs, private clubs who do their annual trip over to Ireland. Hell, come on down for the price of airfare. You're already in the bag making money at our place. So.
Absolutely, man. We need to do an Ireland French Lick trip. That would be great.
We got the guys. Give me a call. bsweeney@FrenchLick.com. Not too hard to find. So, hey, what are we doing for the Derby, man? The Derby's still going strong. First week of May. The French Lick Resort's only 70 minutes away from Churchill Downs. We're not going to gouge on your prices like you are in downtown Louisville. But, got everything you need. And if they reduce the size of the amount of people that could get into Churchill Downs, we got our sports book right there as well. So you can bet your ponies and play golf and call it a day.
Go to the spa.
Yeah.
Got the spa there for.
If you want to spot up, Mr. Coyle, we'll get you a little rub down there. So it's all good.
Great, but it's a great place where you just go and disappear. You can go play golf. You can go to the spa. You can just hang out in the hotel, or you can go over to West Baden, that 8th wonder of the world. What a crazy place that is. If you haven't been to West Baden Hotel, that is awesome. Dustin, it's a freestanding span. It was a marvel of architecture back in his day. When they built it, it was crazy.
It was the world's largest freestanding dome from 1901 to 1963 when they built the Houston Astrodome. It's huge. It's absolutely
nuts,
huge.
and it's beautiful inside. It's like being in the Astrodome if you stay in a room and looking down. It's crazy.
You know what else is goofy and what's going on at the resort right now with all the shutdowns that are starting to come back into play. I know that some of the schools are being closed down. That means a lot of the parents have to stay at home with their kids. We've been doing a lot of what we call workcations. So you come down if you're mom and dad and your kids got to go to school virtually. We have workstations set up throughout both of the hotels and the event center. I mean, we have 150,000 square feet of meeting space, which were wired up. So your kid could go down and you could plug in and talk to your office, and your kid could go do virtual school right there on the facility. So we've been pushing that hard, and you're going to go crazy this winter. You got to push away. You got to get away. Why not head down and check out the sites? Work for a few hours, hang out with your kids, jump into pools, exercise, go out for some good walks, grab some good grub. I mean, everything that you need to do to maintain your sanity as a parent or a child or anything, we could do it. I mean, it's a great place, and our team has really made the efforts to move over and adjust and adapt to what today's society lets us do. So think about it.
This guy's a pro, man. Listen to him. He knows what he's doing.
Hey.
Brother, thank you so much. Can't wait. Let's do this again next week. But I hope you have a good weekend and enjoy yourself.
I'm definitely teeing it up, my man. I did it. I played the other day. We had a first tee time over at a place called Forest Lake here in Orlando. Had a 6:37 tee time. Played 18 holes in about 2 hours and 30 minutes. $125. Once again, 1-800-9-WITH-IT if you have a gambling problem. And it was great.
Brother. Thank you,
care,
brother.
guys.
Appreciate you. Have
Dustin,
a great day.
hey, good luck, Dustin. Take care, buddy.
Thanks, you too.
All right, there's Brendan Swinney from French Lick joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. We got to take a quick break. We're back with more right after this.
Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering
He's
the Hoosiers,
funny, man.
Bubba's
I'm
there.
here.
He's still there.
I'm still here.
He's a funny dude. He's so funny.
Cool. Hey, I got to run, man. Thanks for getting me on. Hey, Dustin, shoot me your contact info. And, I mean, shit, we're heading over. I'm heading over to a golf tournament over in Santee, South Carolina in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Which is where 95 and 26 pretty much meet.
Okay.
Good place.
Awesome.
Drinking beer, having fun. That's all we do.
And
getting paid for it. Hey, Jim.
Doesn't get any better.
Hey, Jim, can you get a clip of that segment?
That's why we just switched to this particular program, and so we can do those very things.
What's this program called?
StreamYard.
StreamYard. Oh, there it is, right there. Duh. It should be called, hey, dumbass. Hey, dumbass, look at your screen. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good day.
All right, take care.
Great, everybody. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Leave.
Oh, man. That's funny. Yeah, I need to send him so I get my flag stick. And my, it's exactly what I need. Exactly what I need.
I start to learn, know all these people now, meet all these people who are big golfers as soon as I move away and can't play golf anymore. I ain't got nobody to play golf with down here.
Well, that means you got to come back up here.
Might have to.
What is the tie down there? It must be her job.
It is. She works at Kennesaw State.
Oh. Let's get her a job at IU Bloomington.
IU Bloomington. I don't know if that'll work. She's a Purdue grad.
Oh, yeah, she probably couldn't get a job here.
Although I did when I worked at Ivy Tech.
Undereducated.
I knew people at Purdue who worked at Purdue that were IU grads. So
it goes both ways, I guarantee.
Oh,
it.
I'm sure it does.
Especially right now, job's a job.
Exactly. You ain't kidding.
Oh yeah, Kevin. We're going to call Kevin Noon next. We have to do him by phone today, unfortunately. I hope it works. I never will. If I could get this figured out on using my phone with this, with the box here, I could do it. But I tried it last time and we could not get it to work.
Hey guys, I got Kevin hooked up.
Cool.
I hear
Hey
it.
Kevin, how you doing, man?
Doing well.
Awesome. Dustin Schutte is here with us as well.
Hey, man, how's it going?
I'm trying to crank up my.
You still there with us?
I'm here.
Cool.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear, man. How's everything going over there?
Oh, going okay. We're getting ready to stop at a school to go see an Ohio State tight end commit from 22. So today's the last day of the trip in terms of seeing kids, so that's good.
Man,
Crafts
you
are
guys been out and
Monday,
getting with it.
Monday, and Thursday. Leroy's Tavern also features a $6 daily lunch special from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday, featuring a sandwich, fries, or onion rings, or a
really
7-inch
hollow
pizza
sounding.
and a
I'm doing my
non-alcoholic
best
drink
here.
for just $6. Be part of the karaoke fun every Friday and Saturday night. Leroy's Tavern, a West Side tradition for 50 years at 2659 Mount Vernon Avenue.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sillersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat coming to you here on this Thursday from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Dustin Schutte sitting in as always. Now joined by Kevin Noon from Buckeye Grove. Kevin, how you doing, man?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me.
Good. Justin Schutte with us as always as well. Big game this weekend in the Big Ten. I don't think that we all had this one written down as the Big Ten East game of the year, but that's what it's going to turn out to be right now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on the road covering recruit. That just gives you an idea that I didn't expect at the start of the season that this was going to be one that was going to require me to be around a lot. So, a top 10 game, it certainly has a lot of the trappings of being, the big game of the Big Ten this year. So, a lot of excitement around it.
Yeah, Kevin, last week, Ohio State has its game against Maryland canceled, and we know the previous week against Rutgers, Ohio State didn't play that well in the fourth quarter. Is there, you think, extra motivation, a little bit of more Ohio State's always laser focused, but a little bit more emphasis for Ohio State to play a complete 60-minute game this week and show that, hey, even though we haven't put together maybe a complete game yet, we're ready to do so against Indiana this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're frustrated not being able to put the Maryland game. Certainly weren't great in the second half against Rutgers. They weren't great in the second half against Penn State. There are a lot of concerns amongst Ohio State fans that this is a team that hasn't been able to put together, as you said, a full 60-minute game. So, I think you're going to see an Ohio State team that's going to come out and be really focused and try to carry it for 4 quarters because, Ohio State has now lost a data point in terms of comparing resumes at the end of the season with the no contest against Maryland. So, it's not like Ohio State needed any more motivation, if you will, but they're certainly going to have it.
Yeah, and on the other side of the coin, Indiana, a 3-score underdog. A little surprising to me that it was that big of a spread, but that's definitely increased the size of the chip on Indiana's shoulder. They're going to want to come in and prove that they're not a three-score underdog there.
Right. But I always, I love looking at the lines. Thank God we don't have sports wagering legally in Ohio because I'd probably have to get a second job if we did. But and I or whatnot. You don't want to necessarily go chasing points or whatever based on what odds makers are saying. Indiana is sitting at 4-0 on the season. They're ranked number 9 in the nation for a reason. But, apparently, according to the odds makers, there's a pretty wide spread between where number 3 and number 9 are in terms of the polls.
Yeah, and I go back to, that's really the difference to me is Justin Fields is playing so much better than really anybody in the Big Ten right now. But the interesting aspect of this Indiana matchup is that this is probably going to be the best defensive secondary he sees maybe all season unless they play Wisconsin in the Champions Week game. Do you think that Indiana's going to pose some problems for Justin Fields, or is he just too good? We've seen him take a huge jump from 2019 to 2020. Is he just too good, and you expect him to have, another clearly flawless game like he's had through the first 3 weeks of the season?
Well, Indiana's sitting with 10 interceptions this year. Justin Fields, during his Ohio State career, has thrown 3 picks. All 3 of them were last year. 2 of them were against Clemson in the national semifinal game. The final one being a miscommunication between himself and Chris Olave that really just kind of ended the game for Ohio State. I don't think you're going to see Ohio State put Fields in a lot of positions of where he's going to have to throw a lot of 50-50 balls. I think if you go through the tape on the first 3 games of Ohio State, Ohio State's receivers run great routes. They're guys that just pretty wide open or whatnot. I mean, yes, he's thrown some 50-50 balls, and he's hitting it way higher than 50% completion percentage on those. But, if you're going against a ball hawking defense, don't put it into those tight windows if you can avoid it. And I think Ohio State's receivers are going to be able to break off routes and do things of that nature to where it's not going to be a case of where the game is going to be decided in terms of those types of sudden changes and giving Indiana short fields.
From a fan's perspective, we look at this, and then from from my perspective, I try to look at this, and I'm like, all right, is there any chance? Is there any path for victory for Indiana? And I'm trying to look through that, and sure, there has to be, because there's no team in any sport that's not beatable. But it would take a bad day by Justin Fields. It would take a day where he throws 2 interceptions and that type of day for that to happen. From the Ohio State's perspective, do they even see a path to a possibility of losing this game?
I think if you talk to the fans, the answer is no. I think if you talk to the team, the answer is absolutely yes. You don't take anybody for granted. I mean, Ohio State a couple of years ago lost at Purdue, lost at, the other year they lost at Iowa. I mean, there certainly are, bad days and things can happen, but I think this Ohio State offense is pretty well rounded, even though if you talk to Ohio State fans, they're quick to point out that the run offense isn't what it used to be, but they're still running for 208 a game. You don't have a 2,000-yard rusher in J.K. Dobbins, so, maybe they're not getting those types of home run hits there, but you know what? A bases loaded clearing double is fine. If you're going 8-9-yard runs instead of breaking off 50 and 60-yard runs, you're keeping the Indiana offense off the field. So that's still fine too. So, there certainly are scenarios out there to where Ohio State plays a little fast and loose with the ball, or maybe they sit there and they look at the stats and see that Indiana hasn't rushed for more than 118 yards in any game, and they relax on the run defense, and Stevie Scott has a big game, or maybe they don't respect that Michael Penix can tuck the ball and run, and mobile quarterbacks always are an issue no matter who you are. So there certainly are some scenarios there, but I think if both teams come out there and roll out a B-plus game, it's going to be really hard for Indiana to win it.
I think that it's easy for some of us who cover the conference as a whole and fans, and whether they're passionate or casual fans, to look at the fact that Ohio State beats everybody by double digits and say that this is a really good football team. This is a college football playoff team and a team that can win the national championship. You cover the Buckeyes exclusively, and so I'm curious, where do you see their biggest flaw right now, and where do they have to improve, starting with Indiana and moving forward, to be in the college football playoff conversation and to avenge last year's loss to Clemson and win a national championship this year?
Well, I think everybody would expect me to go and talk about the much maligned run game, but I don't know if that's going to be the issue. Yeah, you do want to see more consistency out of Ohio State's run game, but I'm going to say I think Ohio State's secondary still needs to raise itself up a level. They lose Cameron Brown a couple weeks ago, so they're down a starting cornerback. Sean Wade, who opted out and then opted back in, who is a projected first-round NFL draft pick, he hasn't maybe had the type of year that everybody's moved as he's switched his position in the secondary into more of the main corner for Ohio State. They certainly don't have the depth at corner that you would expect, but when you see guys like Jeffrey Okudah, who goes to the Lions, Damon Arnett, who goes to the Raiders, Jordan Fuller, who goes to the Rams, you lose that type of talent there. It's going to take a minute for everybody to figure out which way's up and which way's down and whatnot. So I think Ohio State needs a little bit more consistency out of its secondary play. And, to get back to a point we made very early in this interview, Ohio State certainly needs to be able to put together 4 quarters or at least 3.5 quarters or something like that, because we've seen a lot of 2.5 quarter things, and it's not like any team has necessarily come back to the point to where they put Ohio State in serious jeopardy. But with that being said, it's made some fans uneasy because they're like, well, what happens when they play a team that has an explosive offense?
Speaking of fans, Kevin, that there will be 0 fans this weekend at the Shoe. A change is coming on. No family at all. So slight difference there.
Yeah, but, you sit there and you have a stadium that holds 105 and 10,000, whether you have 1,500 in there or 15 media members, it's pretty to begin with. But yeah, it's going to be disappointing for families that want to be able to go out there and see their sons play and whatnot. And it just kind of is what it is. But I heard the news of that coming out, and it was certainly very disappointing for people involved. But you've got some things that you have to just you have to make adjustments on the fly in order to be able to keep this thing going on.
And I'm going to jump ahead because we're allowed to look ahead. The players and the coaches can't look ahead, but I want to jump forward just a little bit, because Ohio State's playing about as well as anybody in the country right now. Michigan, on the other hand, is going on a downward spiral, and you had the little the tiff between Ryan Day and Jim Harbaugh that was reported in the offseason. He wants to. 100 points. I was going to say, will Ryan Day take the foot off the gas at any point in that game? Because that's what I'm looking forward to at this point.
I forgot about that.
Michigan's been a complete disaster to this point.
They're going to hang 100 on him. They're going to hang 100 on him.
I forgot all about that. I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot all about that. Oh my God. And they may be able to do that in 3 quarters, the way that both teams have looked. That's the sad part. They could do it easily. Wow.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, will they honestly get 100? I don't know, but Ohio State's been able to get to 60, 62 or 63 and 50 something in the last couple of games against this, well regarded Don Brown led defense. And you sit there and you look at Michigan this year and you look at the problem that, that they're having in terms of their secondary is not having any success. You look at the fact that Michigan really can't sustain any drives. They can't run the ball. So if you give Ohio State enough drives, it could get really ugly. And if you truly believe that, I don't see a situation of where Jim Harbaugh gets relieved of his duties. I do see a situation of where Jim Harbaugh gets sick and tired of this and is like, well, maybe the Jet situation isn't all that bad and just leaves.
Yeah, I expect to see that when this season's over. I don't know if he'll make it to the bowl game. I'm not sure, because Ohio State, I think that they are going to leave a mark on him that stays for a long time. Kevin, I can't thank you enough for taking time to join us, man. I think it's going to be a fun game regardless. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to take, like I said, it's going to take a day where Justin Fields has some problems. Ohio State has problems, and Indiana plays a perfect game for Indiana to come out with a win. It's not that it's impossible, but I'd say that victory is probably 80% on Ohio State's side.
I've kind of gone round and round in terms of what I think the score is going to be. For the sake of full transparency, I've not really come up with a scenario that I see playing out of where Ohio State doesn't win the game. But, I could see a game where Indiana plays them tight into the 4th quarter, and I could see a game where it's lights out. Let's go see what's going on at halftime. I mean, I don't know, but it should be fun. I'm looking forward to the game. It's going to be the first game that I'm not going to be in Ohio Stadium for to cover a home game since 2006. So it's going to be a little bit of a weird feeling of sending one of my place.
Yeah, that sucks for a lot of us that making those changes, but they'd see that. But man, thank you so much. Look forward. We'll do this again during basketball. But thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Kevin. Joining us here, Kevin Noon from Buckeye Grove over in Ohio State, getting the Ohio State perspective. And man, yeah, it's going to take something by Indiana to and a bad day by Ohio State. But the thing is, it's there. It's not like this is the margin is a lot smaller than it was 3 years ago when they were leading 21-20 after 3 quarters. This is a better Indiana team. I think it might be a better Ohio State team. I'm not sure. That was a pretty good one, but we'll see. Hey, we got to take a quick break before we wrap things up here. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Man, that's a good segment.
That was a good segment. They've all been good segments.
Oh, yeah. It's gotten really good now that I've gotten it.
In the rhythm?
God, yes. Oh, my God. I hate to say it, but since Todd, since I made that change, man, life has been a lot better. Wednesdays has been a little rough because the other Dustin, he's not been showing up, but I've got Jordan Hulls now instead, so it's even better.
Yeah, there you go. What's he doing?
He's in Germany.
Oh, is he playing? He's playing ball in Germany?
Yeah,
man.
And his family's over here though, so he's got nothing to do.
Man, that's awesome.
It just stinks for him, and he just had a baby, so he's got a new baby girl. Yeah, a little baby on the ground, and he hasn't got to be with her yet. So that stinks. But
they're here. His wife and daughter. Are
here. Yeah. She just had the baby. Literally.
Oh, wow.
He left. He only left about maybe 3 weeks ago. And like we were talking on a Friday because I was playing golf with his dad, JC, on the next week, and I said, "Hey man, you want to play with us?" Yeah. We'll see if we can work out. And then the next day he sends me a text. "Hey, I'm on a plane to Germany. I can't play tomorrow." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think so." But yeah, no, he's hoping that they'll get over there around Christmas. But
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you got two former IU basketball co-hosts, right? And then a hot air balloon on Thursday.
No, this is actually fun. I always have fun. I love Thursdays. Thursdays are fun.
Oh, I love it too.
How about my parlay? You don't like the Wisconsin game. I had them at 6. That's what makes me so mad. I had them at -6.5, and it got screwed. I got screwed on it because Wake Forest canceled.
Yep.
So I wanted to replace them, but instead of replacing them, they voided my bet. But when they voided my bet, the spread had gone up 2 points. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're screwing me here. I'm done with these sites. I hate betting on sites. That's the funny thing is I'm going straight to a bookie from now on.
There you go.
They legalize it, and these people make it worse. I'm going to the guys that don't screw you. The bookie, the original.
I
still think Wisconsin beats Northwestern by 8.5.
I see. This is where I think Wisconsin will win. If you took straight up, I'd take Wisconsin to win. But man, those teams that year, Wisconsin was really good, and Wisconsin won 10 or 11 games, and Northwestern only won 5. They pummeled Wisconsin that year.
Michigan State at
2015, 14.
Maryland's -6.5.
Yeah, I'd take Maryland too in a heartbeat.
Gimme, right? Come on.
Michigan State's falling apart at the seams.
Guys, Iowa and Penn State
guys are
-2.5.
Yep.
Are you telling me I was not going to beat that? I mean, I'm thinking they're beating them by 14 points, maybe more.
No, could be.
Liberty at North Carolina State. That one scares me a little bit, but
let me tell you, Iowa's got second most sacks in the Big Ten. Penn State has the most, or is giving up the most. That's going to be a bloodbath.
Leroy's Tavern also features a $6 daily lunch special from 10:30 a.m.
This hits
Friday, featuring a sandwich, rings, or a 7-inch pizza and a non-alcoholic drink for just $6. Be part of the karaoke fun every Friday and Saturday night. Leroy's Tavern.
If it hits, it's 2,400.
50 years at 2669 Vernon Avenue.
This segment is brought to you by
Oh man, if that thing hits, oh my God, Saturday night is going to be fun. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from hole number 6 here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Thursday. Jim Coyle with you as always. Dustin Schutte sitting in as well. We've talked to Kevin Noon from Buckeye Grove, Brendan Swinney from French Lick. Man, we've had a loaded day already. We got the big game coming up this weekend. We was in the break talking about My big parlay. I'm not a big bettor. I just bet little bits, but it's fun. These parlays are fun because you don't have to bet much. You can bet 20, 30, 40 bucks and win big if they hit. It's just hard to get a parlay, which is multiple legs, multiple teams they hit. And I've got Wisconsin and Northwestern, baby. It gave up at 8.5. I hate that, but I still like them. I just do. We were talking about that a minute ago, and Maryland is playing so well, but Indiana and Ohio State, that's going to be a big one. We've got, and now with all these cancellations, it's a shame it's at noon, but it's going to get even more attention. I still don't understand why was this game not moved to the night game. I mean, it's a top 10 matchup. You've got all these cancellations. I would have thought this would have been a perfect. I'm glad it's not for my selfish reasons of having to wait till midnight to be finished working. But I love the noon games for that reason. We're done. I'm done by 6, 7 o'clock at the latest every day on every Saturday. So that's cool.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wish every game. I mean, last week when they kind of staggered the kickoff times because of the cancellation of the Ohio State-Maryland game, I love that. Having two
it was awesome.
Noon, one at 1:30 and one at 5, one at 7:30, however that schedule worked out, it was great. I love that. But if you want any professional, tips when it comes to betting, now on Saturday Tradition, we don't bet for any money, but I've been 4-2 every week in our weekly picks. So I'm Mr. Consistency. So I wouldn't bet on me to do any parlaying, but I tell you, I'm on a hot streak right now.
4-2?
4-2.
You're bragging about being 4-2? That's like half a day last week. Oh, you've been 4-2 every week.
Every week I've been 4-2.
So and you're +2 each week.
Plus I'm +2. Plus I called the Indiana Michigan State shutout. I mean, I don't want to hurt myself by patting myself on the back too much here, but I feel like I should throw that out.
You didn't call that here last week.
I did too. You? I did it on
our
website.
I missed it. Okay, I missed it.
Go back. Run the tape. Run the tape.
I missed that. Well, what big news you got this week? What are you calling out this week? What's going to happen? What's going to happen that is unexpected?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. Yeah, you put me on the spot now. I think Iowa gets its highest sack total of the season against Penn State. Iowa has the second most sacks in the Big Ten. Penn State has surrendered 15, worst in the Big Ten. I think Iowa gets its highest sack total. I think Justin Fields throws an interception against Indiana, his first interception of the season, only the second regular season interception of his career. I got to think here. This is another one. This is why I went under. I don't think we get to 20 points for either team in the Northwestern-Wisconsin game. I think that game is like 19-14 or 17-10. That's what I'm going with for that.
You're out of your mind. Wisconsin
is
going to run all over them. Yeah. What's your prediction for the Indiana-Ohio State game?
I took Indiana in the points. I think it's going to be somewhere around 38-28 Ohio State. That's my prediction for that game.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 38-24. But again, it's not that Indiana cannot win the game. It's just going to take stuff's going to have to happen. Unusual things are going to have to happen. Justin Fields is going to have to throw more than one interception.
Right.
Because one interception would be okay. But if he throws 2 and you got turnovers, and Indiana has done a great job defensively with turnovers this year. That's part of why they've been successful. But everything amplifies this week, man. It's going to be fun, and I just can't wait to watch it. You will get a better sense of where Indiana really is in the pantheon of the rest of these programs. I think that they are truly a top 10 team right now because they're playing good on both sides of the ball. They're not outscoring somebody and then hanging on. They're scoring and holding you down. That's they're a solid team, and they're just going to get better.
I can tell you that I think that if Ohio State wins, even if Ohio State wins and Indiana plays well, if this is a 10-point, 14-point game, I could see a scenario where Indiana's still ranked in the top 10. Whether or not the voters, how they vote is obviously going to determine that. But I think Indiana has proven to this point it's a top 10 team. And you blew out Michigan, you blew out Michigan State. You took care of business in the second half against Rutgers. You got a top 10 win over Penn State. And I do think that this is a different Penn State team playing right now that's 0-4 than when they entered the season to start the year against Indiana. So I do think Indiana's for real. I think they're a top 10 team, even if they get beat by Ohio State. Now, obviously, if Ohio State comes out and wins 52-10, we might have a different conversation in a week. But I don't see that happening.
Nah, me either. Hey, the IU basketball schedule, of course, came out yesterday. We'll talk more about that tomorrow with Verdell Jones and AJ Guyton. But 20-game Big Ten schedule out, along with about 7 or so pre-conference games that they'll match up. But we'll talk about all that tomorrow. Looking forward to it. They end the season at Purdue on March 6th. Start the season December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. Home against Northwestern. So the schedule's out. Hopefully we can get to basketball season. Hopefully we can finish football season. A lot of talk about the potential of moving the college football playoffs. We're about out of time, but if that comes to fruition with all these numbers, jack it up. Definite possibility. We'll have to keep an eye on, Dustin.
Yeah, and you look at Orlando. It worked there for the NBA season. They've got UCF Stadium down there. They've got the old Citrus Bowl, Camping World Stadium, that they could play those games. So you could see a scenario where they quarantine, or not quarantine, but have a bubble for 4 teams, play 2 games in 2 stadiums, and maybe that's what we do, and we get to the College Football Playoff National Championship.
I will see. We'll certainly find out. The NCAA tournament likely going to all be played in Indianapolis, so that's great. But hey, I can't thank everybody enough, man, for joining us here on the program again. Thanks to Brendan Sweeney from French Lick Golf. Thanks a lot to Kevin Noon from Buckeye Grove, of course, for joining us, and of course for Dustin Schutte from Saturday Tradition. As always, man, look forward to doing this again tomorrow. Verdell Jones, AJ Guyton. We'll see what else we can get going. But I hope you guys go out and have a great day. Dustin, I hope you have a great weekend watching the games, having fun.
And thanks, Jim. It's always fun. You have a great weekend as well.
I appreciate everybody else. Go out and do something nice for somebody. Please wear your mask. And until tomorrow, I will see you on the radio.
All righty.
You can kill the recording, Will.